In the last two videos, we learned where all the names of the notes are on the neck of the banjo, and now it's time to learn about the most fundamental scale in music, the major scale. So in the first video, we learned that there are 12 notes in all of music, but the problem is that if you play all 12 notes in a row, there is no discernible home base or center to them. The scale is what we call atonal. Just like if something is not symmetrical, we call it asymmetrical. So what the major scale does is pluck out 7 notes from the 12 possible notes, and it gives us a scale that does have a discernible home base or center, and that's what we call a key. So what is a major scale? Well, it's just a formula of distances. And in the first video, we learned that the distance between one key or one fret is called a half step, and the distance between two keys or two frets is called a whole step. So the formula for a major scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And I could start this formula from any point. I could start this formula on C, I could start it on E, I could start it on E flat, I could start it on G. It doesn't matter where I start, the formula will always stay the same. So let's look at what happens when I start this formula from the note C. Well, C to D, whole step, that works. D to E, whole step, that works. E to F is only a half step, but that's what my formula is calling for, so that works. Whole step, that lands on G. Whole step to A, whole step to B, and half step to C. So now we understand why the piano is laid out this way, and it's because the scale of C major has no sharps or flats, and so the designers of the piano thought it would be helpful to make all the white keys merely the notes of C major, or the non-sharp, non-flat notes. So let's see what happens when I start this formula on a note besides C. Let's start from the note G. And so I'll go whole step, that gets to A, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, and now my formula is calling for another whole step, but the distance between E and F is only a half step. So to go a whole step up from E, I'm going to have to go up 2 keys, and that's going to land on the note F sharp. And then I'm going to go half step to G. So the notes in G major are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. And the reason I have F sharp is because when I start this formula, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, on G, I have to land on the note F sharp. So let's do one more. Let's start from the note D. I'll go D to E, whole step. Now I need another whole step, but E to F's only a half step, so that lands me on F sharp. Half step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, and now I need another whole step here, and B to C is only a half step, so I'll land on C sharp, and then half step to D. So the notes in D major are D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D, and how I got F sharp and C sharp is just by starting my major scale formula on D. I had to play those black keys to play the appropriate set of distances. So there are 12 notes in all of music, which means there are 12 possible places to start the major scale formula from. Now, most music theory courses would have you memorize all 12 keys and all the notes in all the keys, but really, I would say that 95% of banjo music is in these 3 keys. These are very banjoistic keys, as I call them. So it's really important that you memorize these 3 keys. And if you go to my website, you'll see a complete list of all the major scales, as well as some tab for how to play them on the banjo.